It's 1/8 scale monster truck time here at the RC Network. Let's unbox this brand new Kyosho and do an exclusive unboxing of the Mad Crusher VE. Hey guys, Rich here from the RCNetwork.com, and today a pretty exclusive unboxing here of the Mad Crusher VE from Kyosho. Now this of course is their newest 1/8 scale 4-wheel drive monster truck with solid axles. So this is definitely cool. It's a lot larger than a lot of the 1/10 scale monster trucks, and being that it is solid axle, it just gives that realistic look. Now real quick look around the box. Of course, Mad Crusher VE, this is the electric version. They do have a nitro version. It comes in red. The VE version comes in this cool blue color right here, and you're noticing a pretty cool looking truck here. Now I need your opinion. I say it looks more like an old school Dodge. Some people say Ford. Leave your comments down below. I want to hear what you think this truck looks like. It kind of has a morph between those two vehicles, but I kind of have that Dodge bubble up here versus like a Ford truck. As we look at some of the badging on this of course is a ready set vehicle, ready to run out of the box, comes out, charge your batteries up, and you're ready to go. 2.4 gigahertz radio, has a waterproof servo and waterproof electronics throughout. Has a partnership with Team Orion for their Neon 8 line of electronics, so you can run this thing on 4S LiPo power. And one last final thing is ultra scale body. This body is probably one of the best monster truck bodies I've seen, including the chrome mirrors and handles, and the grille is absolutely beautiful. It has light buckets. Wait till you see this thing. Looking at some of the features on the side of the box right here, you get some pretty giant bore shocks. They look like right around 16 millimeter shocks, full ball bearings. You do have dual kind of saddle pack battery boxes, so you can run two 2S LiPos, one on each side of the chassis. It does say chain drive right here, so we're gonna have to dive into that to see exactly what that is, but I do see some shaft drives as well. Of course, the scale body is just unrealistic how scale that body is, and then all the other specs right here as far as the diff bevel gears and just how large these aluminum hub carriers are. These are 17 millimeter hexes right here. These things are large. So without further ado, let's get this thing out of the box. Before we get to the star of the show, the Mad Crusher VE, let's take a look at some of the supplement items that come inside the box. You get a bag of tools with all sorts of Allen keys and nut drivers to take the wheels off and everything you need to work on your Mad Crusher. You get a pretty detailed owner's manual, including a antenna tube and also a bind plug. You get some Kyosho decals, including some additional body decals to make your Mad Crusher look a little bit different. You also get a little bag of a bunch of chrome details for the body, including windshield wipers, side mirrors, and all sorts of things to make your Mad Crusher look cool. And finally, you get the Kyosho Synchro KT231P Plus remote. This thing's actually pretty cool. I like this one because the wheel is kind of angled towards the center of the radio. Has all sorts of trim dials up here for steering and throttle, also steering dual rate, throttle EPA, and reverse switching. It runs on 4 AA batteries that you will have to supply yourself. And finally, the Kyosho Mad Crusher VE. This thing is large and in charge, and I definitely like the size of this thing. Now, once again, 1/8 scale, so this thing is a little bit larger than your average 1/10 scale monster truck. Now that it has solid axles, it definitely sets it apart from all of the other monster trucks on the market. Now, the first thing that just definitely draws my attention is this cool blue body here. Now, it has kind of like that old school Ford, a little bit of a Dodge kind of mixed into it, and the details just go on and on, starting with the chrome grille and chrome front bumper. You have all sorts of decals here to make it look very scale, including the decals that not only trim out the windows with the chrome, but also tint the windows. You have light buckets pre-installed, and it has lenses on them that actually make them look like the old school halogen light bulbs. Flipping it around to the rear, you also get another plastic molded chrome bumper on the rear of this thing. Pretty cool. Now, the wheels and tires are quite unique. They're pretty large, measuring at almost 6 inches in height, and they're quite wide at almost 3 inches wide. Now, they're using like a 2.2 inch plastic glue-on wheel, but you'll notice there are 17 millimeter hubs inside of here, so you have that added durability for this 8-scale monster. The removal of 4 body clips here allows you to remove the body, and you can see everything that's happening underneath the chassis. Now, the chassis uses like a twin vertical plate. They're aluminum pieces running from right about here all the way back to almost like the rear solid axle. So you have about 12 inches of aluminum plate running from front to back on either side of the chassis. Now, everything's kind of bolted together, and you do have a pretty unique 5-link suspension on the front and also on the rear. It is using plastic trailing arms and leading arms, and it's pretty unique because they are parallel partners here with the lower one and the upper one. Now, this plastic is not flexible. This stuff is pretty stiff, and it is very, very strong, to say the least. With somewhat of a bird's eye view, you can definitely see the 2 battery holders on either side here. Now, you can easily fit in a standard 2S stick pack battery in either side, and with the included Y connector, it'll put it in series, so you'll end up running 4S to that Team Orion electronics system. Starting with the front, you have a ginormous electronics box. Now, this houses the receiver, and it's all rolled up in foam to protect it from water. You have your servo right here powering the steering system, which I'll show you a little bit later. You do have the 2100 kV Vortex R8 motor from Team Orion. Now, this is a brushless, sensorless motor, and it's mated to the Team Orion Vortex R8 speed control. They are both waterproof, and they can handle a lot of power, up to 4S. Now, if you remember, we talked about shaft-driven and chain drive. Now, if you notice right here, right behind the steel spur gear, you have Mod 1 gearing as well. You do have a chain drive that drives it down to like a transfer case underneath this aluminum chassis plate here. Now, although the transfer case right here doesn't really change the gearing, it allows a drop down here for the chain drive and drives it out to the front and the rear differentials. Looking at the axles, these are almost 1 inch thick hard plastic axles, and they are open differentials, so you'll have a little bit easier turning in this monster truck. On both front and rear, they have an additional brace right here just to support everything and adds for minimal bump steer. So as you're cycling through the suspension right here, you can see that bar activate. Now, the steering system is quite unique, and I'm a little bit worried about some of the bars in this. Now, this is using very thin turnbuckles right here, and it's kind of odd because the chassis mounted servo is mounted way up here. It goes out to like a center servo saver unit that fires back out to here and onto the behind the pumpkin steering. So you're actually getting steering behind the pumpkin, so nothing's really exposed, but once again, it's using this very thin steel turnbuckles to calculate all of the steering. Removing one of the wheels exposes the cast aluminum knuckles and also the 17 millimeter aluminum hubs. So pretty stout, and I've got to say pretty nice for this large monster truck. Moving up to the shocks, now they are threaded plastic body shocks, but they do have aluminum caps, aluminum knurled adjusters, and the retention for the spring is a plastic piece that you'd find on most shocks. Now, they are quite large, about a 16 millimeter 4mm big bore shock, and they are mounted kind of really slanted on the front and the rear of this monster truck. Flipping it to the rear and pulling a wheel off, I'm noticing that they're using the same cast aluminum hubs on the rear. Now what's nice about that, it's pretty much set up for 4-wheel steer. Now I believe Kyosho is going to come out with a kit to convert it completely over to 4-wheel steer, but it's pretty much ready to go out of the box. You just need to arrange the steering linkage to get it all moving. And then finally, it's hard to not notice the included wheelie bar here with the rubber wheel. Now it can go at a pretty extreme angle before it engages, but wheelies are always fun, and it's not fun flipping your car over when it's several hundred yards out. So it's a nice added feature to have that wheelie bar. The more and more I study this thing, I'm noticing a second motor bay right here. So you can pretty much run twin motors on that center mounted spur gear. Now that's pretty cool, and I guess that'd be a lot of power going out to this 1/8 scale monster truck. Now the other kind of cool thing about this is you get this like kind of metal handle right here. It also helps from the body from caving in, but it's nice to have a nice good sturdy point when you just need to pick the truck up, because like I said, this thing's pretty large and it is quite heavy. Well guys, there you have it. That is my quick unboxing of the brand new Kyosho Mad Crusher VE, their 4-wheel drive 1/8 scale monster truck. This thing's pretty cool. I can't wait to run this thing. I know it's going to do well. I've already watched their running video of their nitro version. I'll put a link down to that in the video description so you can check it out. But this thing can definitely take a beating. Can't wait to run this thing, and that's it. Like I said, comment down below if you think this looks more like a old school Ford or more like an old school Dodge, especially on the front grille area. Well guys, that is my unboxing video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm off to the next one. Comments, questions on down below, and as always, thumbs up and subscribe. That's it for now guys. Over and out.